Thank you very much. My name is Dave, and I am a proud citizen of Anaheim. I am a very concerned resident as well about this homeless shelter on Kraemer. I'm very concerned about the lack of communication from the city with its residents about this project. I read that the city was planning on engaging the residents and getting their feedback to talk about this project, and I haven't seen any effort in that area to do so. I found out about this project through a flyer from a citizen, and that just doesn't sit right with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the city should have reached out and provided more information to me about this. I read about that there were 2 community forums that were supposed to be held to discuss this project, and then they were canceled. And I was wondering if they were planning on rescheduling this forum or what's going on with that. I think, along with many of my community, like many residents, this project is a good idea. It's great timing. It's just the wrong location. I know that there are many good people that are homeless, and I understand that they need our help. But on the flip side of that, it would be naive of me to believe that the crime in the surrounding areas of that homeless shelter would not dramatically increase if this project were to go through. So I'm a husband and I'm a father, and my family their safety is my #1 priority. So if anything unnecessarily jeopardizes the safety of my family, I will absolutely and adamantly oppose it. This location, I feel it will negatively impact a lot of good people, a lot of good families, residents and businesses. So I'm hoping that you guys will consider relocation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Greg Diamond, Chris Vance, Marion Aperon, and Ann Chunk, you may come forward to the podium.
Yeah, in any order is fine. Welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me okay? Put my glasses on here. Honorable Mayor Tate and City Council members, my name is Chris Vance, and I'm the owner of Piano Empire, which, if you didn't already know, is the piano store located directly across the street from the proposed homeless shelter location. I'm here to express my dissatisfaction with this site. There are a dozen reasons as to why I believe this is a bad location, but mostly, if you put it next to me, it'll destroy my business. Perhaps you think I'm being selfish, blind to the needs of the homeless. That's not it at all. Simply, I want my business to survive. I spent a lifetime to get to where I am. It's been hard work and with great sacrifice. Also, I have responsibilities to provide for my employees, my business family. It's important that my piano store survives for them too. A piano store and a homeless shelter cannot coexist adjacent to each other. My store is retail and sells a high-ticket luxury musical product to families, usually parents buying for their children. All those within my industry believe my business will fail being next to a homeless shelter. Chances are the demise of my business will be a slow, frustrating death. Council members, prior to my moving to Anaheim, my store was located adjacent to the 5 freeway in South LA County. The state and county forced me to move via eminent domain. My new store officially opened a little more than 3 years ago. I looked all over the area to find the best location to relocate my store. Upon finding this building, I met with John Ramirez from the Anaheim Planning Department. Due to the complications I previously had with eminent domain, I asked him if I had anything to worry about with this location. He stated that it was doubtful. As it turned out, I'm faced with a much greater threat. Mayor Tate, I'm sure you're a good man and want to be a good city leader. Your intentions are admirable. yet I believe they are misdirected. On one hand, you want to help the needy. On the other hand, you hurt business, residents, and landowners, etc. Here's what you need to remember. Not putting the homeless shelter at Kraemer Place won't harm the homeless, nor will it help them. It's a non-issue. But, and it's a big but, if you do put the shelter on Kraemer Place, the destruction to the residents, businesses, employees, etc. will be massive. A loss of property values, lease revenues, business loss could be hundreds of millions of dollars over the coming years. We do not believe it is fair for government officials to ask private citizens and hardworking business people to absorb such losses. I'd like to invite you to visit my store. I think it's best you meet my staff and learn about my business. My store is the only piano store in Anaheim. We pay taxes and help the
Mr.
community.
Vance, I'm sorry, sir, but your time is up.
Thank you. Please rescind the city support.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Marian Ampron, and I am a resident of Anaheim. I'm urging you to please rescind your support of the homeless shelter at 1000 Kraemer Place. The proposed site is 1.8 miles from my home. It's a little over half a mile from the intersection of La Palma and Blue Gum. My son attends Valencia High School and walks home from school via the route of Blue Gum to our home near Rio Vista Elementary School. I'm concerned with the safety of my family and neighbors. 2 transients, convicted sex offenders that stayed in the area of La Palma and Blue Gum, were arrested for the murders of several women. According to KTLA News, a well-known transient in the Covina area stabbed a woman 8 times while she skateboarded with 2 friends earlier this month. An excerpt taken from an FBI law enforcement bulletin stated that in 2013, the Anaheim Police Department responded to an average of 503 homeless-related calls for service each month, most of which were public nuisance or disturbance related, a 27% increase from 2012. To their credit, Anaheim PD started a program with the homeless outreach team that supposedly reduced those numbers, though we still have a homeless woman that is mentally ill and lives in our neighborhood, stealing mail, sleeping in our street corner, and leaving trash. My kids have seen her urinating and changing her clothes. She stays in our area because her sister lives on our street. It stands to reason that many transients will stay in the neighborhoods that they consider home, which will be near the proposed shelter. My neighbors called Anaheim PD regarding the mail theft, but were told nothing could be done because she's mentally ill. How can we ensure our safety when multiple mentally ill homeless people will be in our vicinity? How can I ensure my son's safety as he walks home from school if he encounters a mentally ill person that was brought to the area because of the shelter? Believe me, I'm not opposed to a shelter for the homeless. I know there are good people who need assistance to get back on their feet, good families that are down on their luck. Unfortunately, according to a research summary by the Treatment Advocacy Center, approximately 1/3 of the total homeless population includes individuals with serious untreated mental illness. This proposed site is not a good location. It's too close to homes and minors walking home from school. Again, I urge you to rescind your support of the shelter at this site. I'm sure there are better locations that are away from neighborhoods. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Following Ann Chauk is Paul Hertzler, Erica Zhang, and Chad Christensen. You can line up at the podium.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, for allowing me to speak today. My name is Ann Chauk. I'm a resident of Anaheim, and I do live very close by to the Anaheim homeless shelter that's coming to 1000 Kraemer Place. I'm here to speak in opposition, not just for myself, but for many of my families and neighbors who couldn't make it today. We are now 800 people strong in opposition to our homeless shelter, and we ask you to hear us out. We have real concern for our safety. A woman who spoke at our community meeting talked about her daughter being stabbed by a homeless person. Another person talked about public defecation in her front lawn where her children saw, self-medicating from prescriptions found in the trash can. We have a real concern about our safety, and we are personally invested every day to come home to our home, which is our sanctuary. We paid a lot of money for our residents, and we just don't think that 1000 Kraemer Place is the right place for the shelter. We ask you to rescind your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening,
Welcome.
council members. Thank you. don't envy the job you folks have to do to listen to all this all night long. My name is Paul Hertzler. I'm a resident in the city of Anaheim since 1949. My concern is the homeless shelter, and primarily it's because we don't have information as residents. We're looking for details on what the proposed homeless shelter is supposed to look like so we can better understand the problem and help with our concerns. We can't seem to get answers anywhere. How will the shelter be run? How long can someone stay in the shelter? How do you select who is staying at the shelter? Is the location set up for families and individuals? We have absolutely no idea. There's no information coming to us as residents of the neighborhood. I live on Cinda Street. I've been there since 1975. Several of the people have talked about this is located, as you hopefully know, adjacent to the 91 freeway. Right across the 91 freeway, you've got Frontier, you've got Kraemer, you've got apartments. You go into Orange now, you've got homes. You come around to Rio Vista. It's an elementary school and homes that have been there for a number of years. My home was built in 1961. It just seems like there's nothing worse about fear is if you don't know what's going on. Somebody needs to communicate with us. Then maybe we can be a little more supportive of this. I just have a series of questions. Are backgrounds checked done on people who come? I mean, who is letting them in the door? How do they get to the location? By bus? I mean, it's really in a pretty isolated area, except for the major streets. How are people notified when there's room that people can come? And what do you do when people show up more than 200? And what do those folks do? They usually end up in the riverbed or in our neighborhoods. It's a lack of information that we're receiving because we don't know where to turn and where do we go. Is there a checkout time? How long can someone stay? How long can a family stay? Are there programs that help these people? A lot of them, I am sure, have issues, as we all do in life. Alcohol, drugs, mental issues. Is there some services that are provided that they can help these folks at that location? Is it just a bed to sleep in? Another thing I'm thinking of is parking. Where do the cars come that they come in? Or the dilapidated motorhomes? Or the shopping carts? We do believe that there is a need for a homeless shelter. My concern is this is just not the right location. And thank you. I do appreciate your time.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Erica Zhang. I am also a resident of Orange. I live right off of Riverdale, also near the proposed shelter. Being an active citizen of the city, I also like to enjoy the riverbed, work out a lot outside. So when I first saw the flyer that was hung on my door, that was how I learned about the shelter also, which was a little bit concerning to me. I just moved to Orange about a year ago, so I would expect that we would have been notified somehow. So the next day, I took a ran over to where they proposed to have the shelter. First of all, I think it probably would be much too small. It's not in a great area. It only took me probably 10 minutes to get there. And there's lots of parks, schools, a lot of residents with children that are nearby, which was also concerning for me. I do think that some of the small businesses nearby, like the piano shop, would possibly be in jeopardy. And our city pretty much does thrive off of small businesses, so I would hope that you guys would take that into consideration as well. Being so close to the freeway for the homeless, I do feel like it would actually also be quite dangerous. If they were to come across to want to hang out in the riverbed, which I would assume if it was me, I would, I think that crossing the freeway is going to be way too dangerous for them. Kraemer and Glassell is a very, very busy street, and people drive very fast. So either way, I think that from all angles, it just doesn't work out. And I'm hoping that they can find a better location, maybe more into the industrial area. And that's all I have to say. So, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council people. My name is Larry San Giorgio, proud citizen of this city for 50 years. Love this city. And yet, this is the first time I ever saw fit to come to this venue. I was driven to this by just a lack of information as it pertains to the homeless center. I went to the county's one and only briefing where the congressman was there. They offered us a lot of what felt like propaganda, but an opportunity to ask questions in a written format, of which, as far as I know, not a single answer has come. They really have left us feeling ill at ease as to what's going on. They tell us it's a full-service homeless center, but they also tell us it's a 200-bed homeless center. I personally have great sympathy and compassion for the homeless. In fact, last weekend, my wife and I were at a function where we fed 2,000 homeless. Last year, I spent an enormous amount of time volunteering for PATH, which is People Assisting the Homeless, and spent time at the PATH Mall, which is a full-service homeless center. That full-service homeless center indeed has beds, but more importantly, it has facilities for all sorts of folks that don't have beds. And I found it really provocative when the first homeless advocate this evening spoke of the law that has come down saying that the authorities are no longer allowed to move people out of parks and such because if there's a homeless center that's filled up. We're now talking about having a facility which presumably is going to be serving hundreds, not 200, but hundreds, if not thousands of additional folks with only 200 beds. Where are they going to go? They're going to be in our neighborhoods. They're going to be a draw on our police. It's also very concerning living on the edge of Anaheim, and the folks in Orange are living on the edge of Orange. Where are the police coming from? You know, we're right at the edge. It's like, who's coming? And we've had problems with crime in Anaheim Hills. They're starting to call it Anacrime Hills already. And the reason for that is we can't get police service as effectively as we might. This simply exasperates the situation. Bottom line is, I think that most people who are here against the homeless center are not heartless people. We all care deeply. We want a solution. We simply don't want it in our backyards. Councilman, you mentioned that you came out one day to find a homeless person in your alley. I don't really want my wife finding that in our garage. We don't have fences. I don't want to have to put up fences. We live a lifestyle that we chose to live, and we pay a premium price to live there. I don't like the idea of relocating the homeless to my neighborhood simply because it's convenient, particularly when the county has multiple buildings that are already owned by the county that appear on the surface, at least, to be more suitable for this process.
Mr. San Giorgio, I'm sorry, sir, your time is up.
Bottom line is we'd love it if you guys would reconsider your support for this and in fact, oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Following Bao Blaney is Julie Gruette, Darlene Fagan, Wes Speak, and Dave Wilk.
Welcome.
Yeah, my name is Bill Blaney. I am not a resident of Anaheim, but I am a business owner. I'm an employer. That business has been located on Kraemer Place since 1972. And I'm here to basically tell you that I think you've made a dumb decision to support this particular shelter at this particular location. I think if you think a little harder, you probably are going to see that the law of unintended consequences will eventually make this decision look very bad. You may be gone by that time, but, I think you ought to consider that. Anaheim will become the dumping ground for a lot of other cities. I think it'll lead to the turning of a very superior industrial area into what will become an industrial slum. We don't have bars on our windows. We don't have gates on our doors. That will change. You will have higher crime. You'll have a higher police presence, a higher police cost. There is a model for this right now. It's a parole office on Coronado Street. Look at what's happened since that was put in. We never had a say for that, but we now do experience a lot of vandalism, a lot of scavenging, people looking for something that they can sell for a few cents and make a few dollars. I want you to ask yourselves, how will this entire enterprise improve the city of Anaheim over time? I think it's the wrong idea, and it's in the wrong place. Earlier I said I'm not a city of Anaheim resident, but if you think that I can't vote, you are wrong. I can vote with my feet and take my business and the jobs with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure, just pull down there.
Good evening.
Welcome.
I'm here about the homeless shelter, proposed on Kraemer. And we need for the council to hear us speak about that homeless facility and how it will be a detriment to our neighborhood and businesses. Security to our homes and families are a priority, and it won't be with hundreds of homeless walking around the school grounds, Rio Vista Park, where children play, and many of us walk, ride, and run. Look at the Santa Ana homeless, and what do you see? When I have jury duty, I see all plainly what's up there. They have, throwing their bags and carts wherever. We need a better plan than 200 beds, and another one at Ball and Glassell, I heard. You need to look at your empty properties in Anaheim, a better location for more homeless shelters. Anaheim has plenty of lots, even in the Platinum Triangle. It would hold more homeless and make more sense. And all the homeless, most of them are on the riverbed at, Ball and Catella, which would be great, close to there. And, okay. I have heard that you tried to do this on the west side of Anaheim and the residents protested. Well, we're here to speak our minds, and when I heard that the city of Anaheim and how well you are hiding all of this, the neighbors have not known about anything except for one forum. And I've lived here for 43 years, and I can't believe how this goes on in Anaheim like this. Mayor, I voted for you time and time again, and I can't believe this. I even called your office. So, anyway, it's a big safety concern to me and my neighbors and that are here tonight, and all I got to say is hear us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Wes Speak, and I've have never been in this building. There's a positive and negative to that. The negative is that I'm here because of a flyer. Flyer that was left on a doorstep, not because the city asked me to come to a meeting to hear information. I'm here to talk about transparency. And if you really want people to have a discussion, you need to have a discussion with them and tell them what's going on. I think there's a lot of questions. I'm not going to talk about the fear part because I think that goes both ways. That you can look at this issue and say, well, homeless need a place to be. The residents deserve to have some protection. How about having a discussion about what these folks are going to do when they're not there? What's going to happen when they're there? Is there a policing plan to handle them when they're out to kind of combat some of these fears? And I think that if you can have an open discussion about those things, you can kind of quell ideas, quell rumors, the innuendo that happens. folks that spout non-facts, both for and against. I think you get those people in the same room. You come up with ideas, or at least get the ideas behind the positives and negatives, and have people address them in a room together. And if people show up, that's great. If they don't, that's fine too. But at least give people the opportunity. And like I said, I'm here because of a flyer, somebody that dropped something off. I'm not going to talk about the fear portion. I really want to talk about the safety part of, the homeless. I look at this facility and where this area is, and it's freeway on one side, folks have said, and I'm thinking if you're looking at a homeless folks, whether they're adults, kids, families, leaving this facility, we wouldn't put a school there. Why would we put a homeless facility there? How are people going to get around? How are they going to traverse, the freeway? I mean, those are thin sidewalks, busy traffic, trucks, blind corners, all kinds of fun stuff there. You wouldn't put a school there. Why would we put a homeless center there? Thank you.
Please. Welcome.
Thank you. It's obvious to me that the City Council tries to do good, and I've seen some of that here tonight, but I still have a problem. My name's Don Dormeyer. I own the Red Gum Creative Campus, which is a digital media production facility. Basically, we rent studio space to film and video productions. Producers and directors from Korea, Japan, Israel, as well as Hollywood, New York, and many others come to my facility in Anaheim since we opened. They often hire local crews for high-paying production jobs. We handle a small part of the runaway production from Hollywood, which is now shooting in Anaheim. We work with all the major car makers, many apparel companies, pharmaceuticals, technology, and food companies creating their digital content. For example, the Del Taco Super Bowl commercial was shot at my place in Anaheim, as well as many TV and media ads for Audi, Toyota, and others. I bought property in Anaheim partly based on the promise implied in the name of the Anaheim Canyon Center for Advanced Technology. Sounds like a great progressive place for a clean business and industry like mine. I invested in Anaheim, and in 2009, I almost lost it all, and I almost became homeless. Having a 200-bed homeless shelter in the Anaheim Canyon Center for Advanced Technology doesn't make any sense to me. It's an industrial park. There are very few homeless in the industrial park now, yet you propose to ship not only Anaheim homeless, but the homeless from the rest of Orange County into Anaheim. Basically, Anaheim's willing to take on the homeless problem for all of Orange County and make it Anaheim's problem. I just don't understand. What are you guys thinking? The Anaheim Canyon Center for Advanced Technology is a great place for business, but it's a very isolated place to spend your day if you don't want to work, if you don't work there. There are no services. There's very few sidewalks. If your decision to create a 200-bed homeless shelter at the entrance to the Anaheim Canyon Center for Advanced Technology cannot be rescinded, then I'm here to help the homeless as much as I can. Specifically, I'm here to pledge my ongoing financial support to the property owners group that wants to create a contract with a bus company to provide morning and evening transportation to help the homeless get to and enjoy the more comfortable places in Anaheim offers its citizens and its tourists. They have every right not to be forced into an industrial park when other citizens get to enjoy real parks, downtown, and the Platinum Triangle. This may be a compromise we could all support. If you're not aware of this movement, you should be. It's not just a center for advanced technology you put at stake. It's the future of all of Anaheim. Thank you.
Thank you.